A Metropolitan Police constable has been charged with dangerous driving after colliding with 3 other vehicles and a garden wall whilst en route to the Streatham incident that we reported on the 2nd of March 2020. I will link to that report in the description. The particular incident I'm referring to was that of Sudesh Amman, who stabbed 2 members of the public whilst he was under surveillance by the Met's anti-terror police. Yes, somebody who was known to police to be a terror threat, enough for them to put a tail on him, was still able to go and stab people. Now, of course, at the time of the notice that 2 Met Police constables were under investigation for alleged dangerous driving and misconduct, the Police Federation used the incident to try and push the narrative that the police should be able to do what they want when they need to, and that includes putting innocent people at risk. Now, whilst I appreciate that they had a job to do, they were trying to get to the scene as quickly as possible. Driving in a manner that could easily have killed members of the public is not, in my opinion, part of that job. The 2 officers were put on restricted duties and barred from driving police vehicles. However, I'm unsure at this time if they had been on restricted duties for the past 2 years or whether they had been reinstated or suspended during that time. Ken Marsh, chairman of the Metropolitan Police Federation, said at the time, "The public will be appalled when they hear the brave police officers responding to a terrorist attack can be treated in such a manner. What kind of message does this send? These officers and their colleagues put their lives on the line that day to protect the public. Now potentially their careers are on the line. It's absurd, a complete joke. No one is saying that police officers should not be scrutinised or that their actions should not be accountable. But the last thing officers responding to a terrorist attack should be worrying about is whether their prompt response and bravery will put their livelihoods in danger." And I kind of agree with some of that, but one thing police officers should be worried about is whether their actions will endanger the lives of more innocent people. Collateral damage is not something that should ever be expected of the police. Well, Met Firearms Officer PC Paul Fisher has been charged since the IOPC investigation over allegations that he drove dangerously before his unmarked police vehicle was involved in a crash on Streatham Common North on February the 2nd, 2020, and he is due to appear at Westminster Magistrates Court on August the 22nd. Undercover police shot Sudesh Amman after he stole a knife from a hardware store and randomly began attacking the public. So really, those 2 cops who were following Sudesh should also be investigated as far as I'm concerned. They were supposed to be tailing him. They were armed. They could have stopped him sooner. The IOPC said the Crown Prosecution Service authorised a charge under Section 2 of the Road Traffic Act 1988 after an investigation concluded in May 2021 following a referral from the Met in February the previous year. The Crown Prosecution Service decided to take no further action against a second police driver whose marked vehicle was in close proximity when the collision occurred, although that one was for misconduct. However, there's no information as to why they thought he might have committed misconduct. I know some of you won't agree with me on the fact that this cop has been charged, but a police driver must pay more attention to the road and their surroundings, especially when they're travelling at high speeds, and there is no excuse for dangerous driving, which must have been driving that was out of the scope of advanced driving in order for them to levy the charge against them. I've got nothing against police driving fast, but I do have a problem with police who drive too fast and driving in a manner that causes death or injury. Granted, no one was hurt in this particular instance, but he clearly drove so dangerously as to what seems to have lost control. And those of you about to hit out at me and tell me that you don't agree with me, just think if he had run someone over, which was a very real possibility in this case. That would be somebody's innocent family member. Do you think that collateral damage is acceptable in a situation where police were already on the scene, armed, and could have stopped Sudesh? Remember, there were 2 following him undercover as part of the Met's surveillance. We'll keep an eye on this particular case. I'll bring you updates when I hear them.